blue circle. An error occurred?
Welcome, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good middle of the night, wherever in the world you are. This is Two Chaps, Many Cultures. And this is my dear friend. Which way am I pointing? I don't know. I guess this way. Is my dear friend from Chicago via Sydney, Mr. Brett Parry, the cultural mentor. My name is Christian or Christian or Hey You, however you want to call me. We're going to have a test after a while how to pronounce my last name. And that'll be a fun episode where we'll have people dial in and give us their best pronunciation of my last name. Today we have a word, or actually a hyphenated word, that we decided that we would like to talk about. And that word is self-awareness. And as I was thinking about how are we going to introduce the topic of self-awareness, I looked at the Facebook feed of our live stream and on the YouTube feed, where it was announced to be launching at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And you may have noticed that it is now 9:35 or whatever 35 in your time zone. And if you wondered how these two chaps dared to be late for this live broadcast, didn't they announce it to be at the 30-minute point of the hour? Then you may be aware now that you are a person who values punctuality and literal communication quite a bit. So I tend to be one of these people who is very literal, and sometimes jokes just go because I'm not privy to the sarcasm that just meandered itself towards me. So, Brett, why don't we start at 9:30, and why do we tell people that we start at 9:30?
Well, there is a good reason why we kind of technically are late, and that's technically that the software we're using here is in that old-fashioned thinking of we must start meetings on the half hour or the hour, which is so there's no other way for me to schedule it. It just throws it out there and it says the only option you've got is 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. So 9:30 it is. So, but we can sit here and we can meander because it allows us like a 10-minute. It allows us to be 10 minutes late. It just and that's a Facebook thing. But we do like to mix it up a little bit. So we like to start a little bit late. Obviously, if you've come from a 9:30 meeting, you can actually come on and join us, and then we try and finish before the hour. Give you a little potty time and a little coffee time.
You meant the coffee pot, right? Yeah,
the coffee pot time. That's right. Right. That's right. And so that we are self-aware, at least, that we do like to have a little bit of time between our meetings. Although I've got nothing else on after this, so I can just sit around all day.
Yeah, I can too, but then again, I want to be productive. Now, here's the thing. I think this is why I brought this up with the timing, is because I've been asked this. Actually, one of my existing clients, and she might actually be watching today, so I'm not outing you. I'm not gonna name names. And she was. I invited her personally to previous online meetings we did at strange hours. You might remember that a couple of weeks ago. And she asked me, so why is it at that hour, and why is it at something 49 minutes? And I'm like, yep. And I gave her the same explanation, and then it made sense to her. However, her default setting, her predisposition as to how she would schedule things on her calendar would be dictated by her workflow or her rest of the day scheduling, which tends to be at the top of the hour, at the half of the hour, or at other quote unquote logical increments. Now, Does that always make sense? Maybe it does. Does it throw you for a loop if somebody like us throws a wrench in your system? Perhaps. Is there maybe a chance we do this on purpose? Perhaps as well. So one of the reasons we're doing this is to make you or make all of us aware that we have certain ways of doing things. Sometimes we refer to that as culture, the set of rules or regulations or self-imposed limitations we have for the way we do things. That is one of the many definitions of what culture is. And the more we become aware of what our culture is, the better we can adjust our way of doing things depending on the situation we're in. Right, Brett?
This is quite correct. And so we do every time talking to our clients that it is so important to start out with you, what your preferences are, what your influences are, and that can be so many different things. I mean, culture can be a little bit kind of bland if you just say that everybody is the same. Everybody is an average, and therefore nobody is the average. Nobody represents that middle. Everybody has variations, whether it be gender, whether it be age, whether it be background, family background, race, heritage, all these kind of stuff. That's what's fun about the world, of course. And I think personally, I have a lot of things that I've really been able to learn about myself and why I am the way I am, and how that maybe manifests itself in the way that I interact with other people. I say it. I absolutely one of the luckiest guys in the world, right? There's a lot of things that I have a lot to be grateful for. And but there's a lot of things that, just like everybody's life, that has come along in my life that I've had to deal with, that has made me reflect, made me learn, maybe learn from my mistakes. And they have been important. I think one of the biggest things in life is to learn and maybe even be grateful for those times in the life. So that's the way I look at it. And so I try and lead to people and lead people to their own self-awareness, and say that it's actually not a scary thing. It's actually a really freeing thing to do, is to find out about yourself. That's just me. I mean, it can be uncomfortable, but that's important. It's important that I know about myself before I try and teach others to know about themselves.
And here's my challenge. I hope you guys can hear me.
Yeah.
Because I can't hear Brett. So this is when technology goes really down, is when my microphone is totally whacked up. And perhaps you could hear what Brett was saying. I couldn't. So we might just keep ranting on and talking past each other, which would be a perfect exercise of lack of self-awareness. So at least I just became self-aware of my limitation to hear his part of the conversation. So, Brett, I'm going to let you take over from here, and maybe we want to cut our session today short because of these technological challenges. Who knows? I'll leave it up to you because you're in control of the board here. Just take it over from here while I try to fix this puppy.
Well, I can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, I'm happy you could hear that.
Yeah, I can hear you. So maybe we can't. Well, everybody can hear Christian, so maybe, and you can hear me. But technical issues aside, again, I want to tell everybody how to get in touch with us, because it's important that during these sessions that we're doing every day is that we get some questions off you. We've had some people contact us yesterday, but we do want to get some questions off you. So you can see us in the live chat here. We've got, there we go. See, Simon there says, see, look, I can hear you both, my Aussie buddy from here close by.
Lovely. And I can hear you too.
Cool. He's back. Right. Okay. So we want people to enter your comments even after the stream is finished. Enter your comments, enter your questions. Most importantly, the questions can be anything to do with culture, anything to do with I don't know, life, business, whatever. We'll have a stab at anything because we know nothing and we can just make it up. No, we don't. We don't make it up. We actually.
I do.
This is no. You can't say that to a German. Like, it's got to be very. We've got to have preparation. We've got to have information and data.
Now, I want to jump on that because it was through one of my mentors and teachers who introduced me to neurolinguistic programming, and I don't want to go on a deep dive rabbit hole on NLP, but one of the concepts or one of the tenets of NLP is that our perception of the world is very limited to our own distortions, generalizations, and deletions that we make of the information that we receive. So if you watch the movie The Matrix, you may remember the blue pill, red pill metaphor, and how people were held. Well, I'm not going to spoil the movie for you if you haven't watched it. Go ahead and watch that movie. What this principle is saying, that all of our perception of the reality in which we operate is how our brains and how our minds and our culture and personality make it appear in our mind's eye. So we make it up anyway, right? So what is my perspective and my perception of the world might be quite different from Simon's or from Brett's or from any of you's perception, because as Anais Nin said, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. We see it through our lenses. So if once you become aware that your reality is one that you're making up yourself, why not decide to make up an awesome reality? This is what I usually throw at people that limit themselves by negative self-talk. That's the words you're telling yourself, right? If you're telling yourself negative things, if you're allowing yourself to look at the world from the negative angle, then that's your choice. You can step over a little bit, maybe with some guidance and some coaching and some mentoring. You might be able to see it from a different perspective. And all of a sudden, what you see isn't the same thing that you saw a minute ago. So if we're going to make it up, my choice is let's make up something that supports me and not pulls me down the negative rabbit hole. Self-awareness talk, right, Brett?
Absolutely. It's hard to understand why people would make up crappy lives. I don't know. But
unfortunately, I see them quite often.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't mean that people don't come across challenges. Stuff comes along and knocks you over. That's it, But man, it is frustrating sometimes. It's damn frustrating.
It is, especially if some of those people are family members, like in my case.
Yeah.
Probably in all of your families, that one relative, that one uncle, brother, sister, dad, yourself, I don't know, who's a negative Nancy, and they can be the party pooper or the one that drag other people with them in their shitty vortex.
Yeah.
Did I say a bad word? Oh, okay.
That's
so
right.
we want your input. We want your questions. How do people give us their questions, Brett?
Well, we've got the chat here. We can throw in questions here, even if you're watching the replay. You can send us. Now I'll type it in. Did we type in, or you're typing in? No, we've got. I'm going to type it in here. We've got some Twitter handles coming up here. Just a second. I'm going to type them in the comments, and you can reach both of us on these Twitter handles. Can
you put them on the display on the screen here? You're the master of the lower third, aren't you?
Yep, there's something like that. Yeah, something like that. There we go.
Look at this, masterfully nice. Oh wow, I'm impressed. So again, you only need to know how to type this. As of yet, you don't need to know how to pronounce this. All right. So Twitter is one way. We have email. There is the comment box underneath here, whether you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube. Doesn't matter. Comment on there. You can send us emails. I think this is the old-fashioned way. Some of us have Instagram. Brett, right? We do have Instagram too. We might be old, but we have Instagram. What we do not have is, at least I don't have it, is Snapchat. I don't have a TikTok either. So don't try to convince me of all this new stuff, right? I'm still learning this stuff here. So yeah, there's multiple ways you can send in your questions, your comments, your suggestions, or God beware, if you feel like you are a smart puppy who wants to outshine us here because you know more than we do, we'd love to have you, because as Brett said, we're just two chaps and we don't know nothing. Oh, so that is a big insert there.
Look
Okay,
at that.
I'm gonna hide behind Simon's comment. Here we go. All right.
You're the star, Simon. You're the star. You're the star. Here we go. We work with colleagues in India. Communication is almost purely email since business hours do not overlap. You've got to get up in the middle of the night, Simon. Yep. They are having problems with quarantining just like me in America. Is there a way to bond better? Working from home is ironically uniting us at least on social media, but professionally through email, it's literally an unspoken topic through email only. That is.
I have a few thoughts on that, Brett, but I'll let you go first.
No, well, I mean, because I guess we talk. I mean, we play. I mean, Simon's an Aussie, so I can talk a little bit of cricket talk. We actually do share the wonderful sport of cricket with Indians. So they are an Asian culture, and of course, because they speak multiple languages, and English can be sometimes the fourth and fifth language. So usually, email is a way to be very much more direct with some Asian cultures, because they have the ability to. Their written skills are often much better than the spoken skills, more comfortable for them, and strangely enough, in a culture that can be is famed for its indirectness, its ability to soften the message and make sure they're being respectful and polite and absolutely down that way. The one way that they can do it to be very direct is through email, or the one way you can engender directness is through email. So sometimes it can find that an Indian person can almost seem unfriendly on email, and yet when you're on a call with them, they are just the one, that wonderful spirit that they bring to a conversation. Right. And so it feels like I may think, and I'm not, maybe it feels like there is no bond there in email, because that is their preferred communication style, to be direct. They don't get into the flowery stuff. So it's not that you're not bonding with them, right?
Plus, if they use English as the communication tool, they have learned that they can be more direct with English speakers like Simon, who's an Aussie. I also learned that it depends on what generation your Indian counterparts are from. If you're dealing with millennials or Generation Z or Z, sorry, Simon, you're Aussie, Indians, then oftentimes English is not their second or third language. Often it is their first language. So they see themselves as very fluent and very capable in speaking and using English as their communication tool. And yet they sound completely different than you do. However, they think, and most Indians that I've met think, well, hey, there's 1.4, 1.3 billion of us, and the way we speak English, that's the way we speak English. It's not a weird accent. That's how many of us speak, and that's more than you Aussies, or that's more than you Americans, or more than you Brits. So it may be a harsh awakening, or your self-awareness will now tell you that maybe as a native speaker of English, my way of using the English language isn't the way that everybody else is doing it. So Indian English has the same validity, especially to people from India. Now, I've been working on a project for the last couple of months exactly around that question, Simon. A team from the US with offices in Europe and one office in the Indian state of Maharashtra. They're trying to figure out how they can communicate better with their colleagues on the India side, and they ran into the same issue that you're describing here. They feel that there is no bond because there's a time zone difference, and then there is only written communication. Now, I want you to be aware, and probably you are, that communication rests on three shoulders. One is the written word. The second one is the tonality and the inclination and timbre of your voice. And the third part is your body language. So if you're only using the written word, you're missing two big building blocks of conveying a message. So what I would highly encourage is use video calls wherever possible. And maybe, perhaps it's doable for you to schedule time with your Indian counterparts where you do not talk about business at all. It would be really great if you could just try to get to know them. Don't ask them questions that lead to a yes or no answer. Ask them open-ended questions about how their commute to work was, or what the weather's like, how the quarantining is looking like in their city, how the family is dealing with the situation. Try to ask them questions that allow them to tell them a personal story, and show them in return some personal side of you, because that will build a relationship that you can rely on when a task needs to get done. If you're an Aussie, I'm a German, Brett's an Aussie, Brett and I live in the US, all of these cultures that tend to be fairly transactional, where it matters how we get the job done. With your friends in India, it would help you quite a bit if you decided to go down the path of getting to know the individual, and even remotely build a little bit of a relationship, if not a friendship, that they know, okay, this is that Simon dude, and this is what he's about, and this is how he watches cricket, and this is his favorite team. I hate him, but that's okay. So that would be a start. How would you say, Brett?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, cricket is a great bonding for me with Indian people. It's the first thing I bring up. I make sure to do it, and then the smiles come, and they tell you about the favourite player. Simon knows this. He's actually in the US as well, so he knows this. It is a kind of a thing that I lead with, but you can do that across the miles as well. And there you will come across somebody who doesn't like cricket, and that can be a conversation in and of itself. You can rib them a little bit and say, how do you grow up in India and not play cricket and not like cricket, right? And that's
it's like Germans not liking soccer. That would be like almost a reason to pull your citizenship. But all right.
That's right, absolutely.
But here's a story that we have time for that story, right, Brett? I'll just make it so. So one of the Americans in that company that we did training with, he said, well, the other day my counterpart in Pune says, tells me a little bit about herself, and I go down that rabbit hole. I engage in that personal conversation. And I tell her that I like smoking, right, but not smoking cigarettes, but smoking the fish that I catch in the river behind my property, or that I just smoke meat, right, and I do barbecue. And he tells him all about his meat prep. And this lady on the other side, 9.5 or 10.5 hours away, was really picking up on that, and she engaged in the conversation. And so he shares that side of the story, right? And then at some point she asked him, well, if I ever come over to the US to visit the US offices, would you invite me to your place and show me your smoker? To which he responded completely bluntly, without having a filter, without thinking about it. If you come over here, then we'll meet at the office. I don't invite colleagues to my house. And that ended the conversation. Now, I'm not saying that he should have invited her to his house. However, the blunt response to a hypothetical question, to a scenario that is unlikely to happen in the very near future, he gave her a very literal and down-shooting response, which hurt the relationship. And he recognized it the minute he hung up. So be aware of your default settings. Be aware of how you would respond to that, and give yourself a little bit of pause before your reflexes kick in.
Absolutely. That's great. Well done. Okay, that essentially is the first question we've ever got. And it's
how did we handle it?
And it's a bloody beaut. It's a fantastic one. That's great.
Yeah. Thanks, Simon.
Well done. Thanks, Simon. Good to see you, mate. Why aren't you working anyway? Bloody 10 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock. Time to go. It's almost 9 o'clock. This is why we'll wind up before the hour. We've pushed up against the hour. You've only got 2 minutes to go to the potty now, so we can wrap up here. Any final thoughts, pal, in a place where too much culture is barely enough?
Go to work, people.
Get back to work, you plebs. All right, guys, see you tomorrow. Send your questions, email, Twitter, Facebook, comments.
You figure it out.
You figure it out. We can't do everything for you.
You're old enough. Ciao for now.
All right, guys. Bye.